you.
We are live.
All right, thank you. 6:31, we'll call our meeting to order.
All right. Ms. Jennifer Haggerty.
Here.
Ms. Laura Pateki.
Here.
Ms. Dana Andres. Here. Mr. James Preston.
Present.
Ms. Judy Stezak. Present. All here.
Here.
The good hair.
You're here.
It's been a long day.
All right.
Thank you, appreciate it. Thank you, everybody, for coming tonight. Well, we'll get started with, I need a motion to approve the minutes from the regular meeting of the Board of Ed from last month, August 25th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. So we do have an invitation of visitors to address the Board of Education. So we'll take a moment, and I know we have some new people in the room today, and we have some visitors, and actually this is the most people I've seen in a really long time. I just need to say that. So it's so nice. for us to-
PTA is taking credit tonight. Thanks,
So everybody down here, so I'm so happy. Thank you. So if there's anything you guys would like to bring to the floor, feel free, this is your time.
I was talking, oh, go ahead.
You can go first.
Oh, no, you go first.
Okay. I'm gonna take off my mask, I'm vaccinated. Is that okay?
Not really.
Okay.
We're not supposed to,
No,
we're not personally offended, but
Okay, my name is Tom Ellis, E-L-L-I-S, I live in Albany, and I'm a member of the Rensselaer Environmental Coalition, which is a group of people in Rensselaer and East Greenbush and elsewhere. We're trying to shut down the Dunn landfill, right next door to your school here. I'd just like to make a few points here. This school was opened in 2008 or 2009. Within a few years, there was an application to put a dump in right next to it. The dump was opened in 2015, and it's now in its 7th year. Dump problems, odors, noise probably peaked in the year 2019, but they're still pretty severe for some people now, especially the truck traffic along Partition Street, and noise in the school. The Town Board of East Greenbush, they passed a resolution in March of 2020 calling for the closure of the dump, calling upon DEC to close the dump. The Rensselaer City Council passed a resolution in June of this year calling for the closure of the dump. So what I'm asking you to do tonight is to consider passing a resolution. In fact, I'm urging you to pass a resolution calling for the closure of the dump. I believe that the dump was allowed to open in Rensselaer because the city fathers and mothers of this city did not take a strong stand against the dump in 2009, 10, 11, 12, and a little later than that, 2012, 13, 14, and 15. So now is an opportunity, I think, for the Rensselaer City School Board and then the Teachers Union and the PTA, for all of you to pass resolutions. Join in with the East Greenbush Town Board and join in with the City Council and call for the closure of this dump. It's my belief that if you don't call for the closure of the dump, the DEC is going to interpret that as either you don't care about the dump or that maybe you want the dump to continue operating. And so I'm calling upon you to do that. The resolution that the East Greenbush Town Board passed a year and a half ago is available. You could use it as a template. The resolution that the City Council enacted a few months ago is a template. I think it's time for this city to decide that the health of the children, your students, your staff, yourselves, if you work here, is a higher priority than to allow that dump to continue operating. I've worked on dump issues since 1982. I know they're very difficult to close, but if you have a united city government or a united town government that wants it closed, you stand a much greater chance of getting it closed. And it's likely that the dump owners will apply for an application during this coming winter to extend their operating license by who knows how many years, 5 or 10 more years. So I'm strongly urging you to pass such a resolution. And the final thing that I want to give to you is this is a 133-page transcript of the public hearing that was held in the town of East Greenbush on March 11th, 2020. I'm going to give this to the board, and I would like this transcript to be included in the official records of tonight's meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Thanks, Tom.
You're welcome.
I'd just like to say thank you for the support of myself and Mrs. Fisher. Kind of spur of the moment, got to attend the coronavirus in schools live broadcast town hall meeting on the Today Show on Monday. It was a blast and a lot of good information. It just was a great experience, so thank you.
Can I say it was really cool? I stayed home from work that day and saw you people several times.
Called
It was
out
awesome.
sick, didn't ya?
I wish I
No,
saw
I
it.
said-
It was a Today Show or Good Morning America?
Today,
Today
Thanks,
Show.
Tom.
And what was it?
It was a town hall with the CDC director and the commissioner of education on coronavirus in schools.
From all
Very
over the
cool to be
country too,
represented.
people from all over the city and country. were there.
I missed the whole broadcast, Amy.
They
It's
represent
on
us well.
They did very well, yes.
So, Amy, you were there and who else?
Rita Fisher.
You have a link on YouTube? Can you forward that to me?
Yeah,
I'll send it to the board.
She's taking autographs too.
And she was on Facebook with Hoda, right? I saw that picture,
Conan and I go with
No.
like, since Monday.
I'm glad you had that opportunity, Amy. It's nice
It
once
was
in a while to get those things and feel good about it.
Oh, my turn. I just wanted to, with the PTA, I want to thank you all, the board always having our back and being there for us. I feel like I have to address the elephant in the room. Obviously, we're all sitting here with masks. My question is, where does the board stand on the mask mandates and everything that's going on?
Question was to the board.
Or to you, actually,
I
whoever.
can tell you what the reopening committee has, what we had for, in our reopening plan, and what the state mandate is.
Mhm.
So, we're required to have masks at all times in the building by the state mandate, unless you are singing, eating, or playing a wind instrument. Those are the reasons you're supposed to be able to take them off. Now, also, they gave power to the local departments of health, which would be our Rensselaer County Department of Health. And they all, in talking with them, we meet with them weekly as a group of superintendents. They interpreted that also to mean you can have reasonable mask breaks. And if you should be in a room alone, like I am in my office often, you're allowed to not have to have the mask on.
Right.
So it's more about shared air. When kids are walking in the hall during the school day, I have only seen a couple come in the door without masks, and they'll put them on very quickly when they're asked to. Sometimes you have to remind them to pull the mask up. In the lunchroom and in the cafeteria, or in the cafeteria and in classroom, in the cafeteria, you don't have to wear it while you're eating, but you have to wear it while you go get your food until you sit down and before you get up. In classrooms, you can take reasonable mask breaks. Now, understand that that can mean something different at a high school level than it does in pre-K room.
Right.
I mean, kids' tolerance changes, so we use some professional judgment there. We don't say it's gonna be 4.5 minutes or anything like that. At all times on the buses, without exception, we're supposed to have masks on.
So if a student is at the bus stop, right, and they're getting on the bus, they should be putting their mask on upon entering the school bus,
They
correct?
should be, and our bus drivers have masks assigned to them that they should be giving them.
Okay.
And I will tell you, we found a couple of exceptions with that we need to work on, but the kids should have masks on at all times on the bus. The reason for that is they say that the air circulation within the bus is not as good as in a classroom where you have a commercial air circulation going on, unless the windows were open, and then it's not really a functional, purposeful air circulation. So the contact tracing on a bus is significantly more extensive than it would be in a classroom, based on the contact tracing document that's been put out by the Department of Health. So the other difference between last year and this year, or most of last year and this year, is that the mask mandate does not apply to outside. It's only in the building or on buses. So you'll see me, if I come out to greet parents in the morning or in the afternoon, I'll take the mask off to show that it's okay outside, and then put it on before I come back to the building, just to demonstrate that. Whereas most of last year, right up until the end, it was on school premises. So when you started, if you came to an event outside, you still had to wear the mask. So that was a change in the mandate. Does that answer your question from a school
I
functional
think from the
perspective?
questions I've been asked, I think so. I mean, I'm sure you'll have questions on Facebook, so.
I'm happy to expound.
But
I mean,
yes,
if anyone has
absolutely.
questions
That's-
of what the expectations are, I'm happy to expound.
that's-
We're constantly working to hone it, you know?
Right.
People kind of fall off the trail here or there, or we work to get them back on, but for the most part, it doesn't bother kids in the way that some adults may have, what you may have seen in the news.
Right.
Our kids are very compliant.
Jamie, so you know, for transparency, it's been brought to my attention in the community that sometimes there are some staff and some parents that are confused about the mask mandate. So I'm glad that you asked and Joe could explain that. So last week, Joe and I did have a conversation about, are there gray areas? Are we giving a missed message? Because of the 15-minute reasonable mask break, I don't think people really understood what that was. I think teachers were confused too. So we've been having ongoing conversations, had some conversations, I didn't get to everybody, to some of the board members this week, to talk about the concerns that were brought to my attention. So I am addressing those. And hopefully we can work to just make sure that everyone's doing what we're supposed to do. You know, this isn't a personal,
I think that's where people get misconstrued. A lot of
keeping us open
places, you know, you see certain places where, you know, people are screaming at the board like it's their fault, you know, but you guys, I think people have to understand that what your personal opinions are your personal opinions, but right now it's the safety of the students.
Well,
I
it's a
don't,
governing
you know, my
body, so-
feelings, but, you know, we have to
Right.
do what we have to do.
I did bring to Joe's attention that I did notice my child got off the bus and two came off with no mask on. Well, with the mask in their hand, and maybe that happened the minute they, were walking down, they're excited, their parents are out there. So, as a parent perspective, I already shared that with Joe. I did share some of my concerns about, maybe they're not being, written protocol about things for, if a child isn't masked, what happens, what does the teacher do? And these are ongoing conversations. So it may not always seem like out in the front that we're having these conversations, but please bring them to our attention if you need to.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
And Jamie, I'm gonna, just on top of that,
Mhm.
one of the goals that I have personally, and I believe a lot of the staff share, is to make that topic a non-issue. Like,
Right.
we don't want to talk about masks all day. We just want the masks to be on and in compliance so that we can talk about math and literacy
What we're
and
here for.
student engagement. And, if you look at our halls, they're not lined with the directional tape and the dots anymore. Now they're lined with math and movement things that also happen to be on the right side of the hall with directional that will encourage spacing and keep students kind of following the same stuff, but in an instructional way. We're trying to suppress the whole, we're in the middle of worrying about all this stuff
Right.
and just execute it so that we can concentrate for the kids on a little more normalcy and engagement and instruction.
I think you guys are doing a great job.
So that's why I don't put out about masks on a daily, we don't want that to be the thing if we don't have to. But we do need to comply and be consistent.
In the classroom, they have to wear the mask in the classroom as they're seated and separated away from the kids, other children?
They can have mask breaks in the classroom. As long as they're separated by 6 feet, they can have mask breaks in the classroom. So I don't think there's no kids that come here and show up and never take their mask off from the beginning to the end. There's varied mask breaks based on how full the room is, what the age of the kids are, but there are regular mask breaks through the day.
And that's in all the classes, you're saying? All the
There
teachers,
may be,
daily
let's
give
say
a
if you
break?
have a 45-minute class, there may be a given class where that teacher might not give a mask break. That could happen.
Right, okay.
And there may be another one where the mask break is a little longer. Like there's a little varying through the day, but the mask break can only happen if you're separated by 6 feet.
Okay.
Based on our guidance from the local Department of Health. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's concerning, having a child wear a mask all day long, breathing, not getting proper ventilation. So it's very concerning, I'm sure. It's my opinion. I know you guys have to follow the rules, but it is very concerning.
And that's actually a question that I've had is, so last year there was an emergency declaration and executive order. So what guidance do we have for these mandates? Do you have that regulatory information, Joe? Would that be something that we could share with everyone so that they could see exactly what the governor said, what it fell under, and why this is rolling out the way that it is? Because I think that's been a little more obscure this time around.
I mean, I don't have it on me and prepared, but yeah.
No, I mean, in
Our
just
new
in
governor
terms of,
came in and made
general.
a clear mandate.
But under what
that I could
executive
share.
order, what kind of, what authority did she use to do that? And then how did that filter down to, the local health departments? I just
Okay.
think it's a very interesting question. It might be helpful to get that information.
Okay.
That's right, maybe we can have a link somewhere on the Facebook page. And
We
I
could
try
also
to-
put it on that, our one pager that has like all the info. What's our welcome back
Welcome
page?
The welcome back page, we can put a little section on.
And I always try to think that, when I speak to a parent, I'm just speaking to them about their child and I'm keeping that in mind, but I'm also keeping in mind that I sit here trying to protect, 1,200 kids, not just one child. And if I'm a parent to say this out loud, my child needs to be in school and whatever I need to
Right.
do to keep him safe in here because he's somebody who thrives and needs this. And I was not a good at-home instruction mom. I'm hoping we can just keep them all as safe as possible for the longest period of time.
And when the governor's mask mandate came out, I will tell you that
Yeah,
I-
relief,
I-
right?
well, no, there was no flexibility there.
Right.
We'll get,
I will tell you, like, it sounded like we'd have kids come in and not take their mask off all day. And that was a problem for many of us, right? You need, like you said, some reasonable breaks. So our cooperation from the local Department of Health was very, very appreciated in their interpretation of the ability to do that. So there is balance in that. We're certainly not trying to say you can never take your mask off.
I think that was the big thing. My biggest complaint from parents, their concern was, does that mean that kid is wearing their mask all day long? And as a parent, my son, you all know him, he's a pain and he's playing with his face and he's touching his mask and I've already had issues, not with teachers, but with him, about it. And it's a question, that you want to know. And it's good to hear that you guys understand every side of it. And
We try. I mean,
and it's hard
We
because I
try.
get
There's
the
a lot
other
of
side,
sides.
people are
Right,
asking,
absolutely,
as work,
absolutely,
people
me
approach
too.
me all over the place to say, I saw somebody without a mask. I'm like,
It was
not
tough
a mask,
for Little
please,
League
but
this
thank
summer.
you, I'll bring it up.
It's tough.
Yeah.
we're trying to be consistent but flexible,
Right.
and it's a tough line to draw. I hope that answered all the questions.
Think so.
concerning that. If there are specific complaints about, maybe we weren't following the protocol as I described, and I'll try to get that out on the one pager and put all that information there, but please let me know. Shoot me an email or give me a call or whatever, and we'll try to address it to provide the consistency that we're looking for. Okay?
All right, I appreciate it.
So under routine matters, do we have any communications that need to be?
Anyone else want to speak?
Oh, I'm sorry, does anybody else have anything they want to say? No communications? Okay. Any board of ed items? No consideration for additional agenda items tonight? Okay. An assignment of action items? No? Okay, thank you. So we're gonna start with our reporting out. So Megan, I think you were the first on the list today.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Jen. So I wanted to talk about two things tonight. On your budget status report, on the monthly budget status report, you'll see that we are back to having some negative unencumbered salary lines.
Yes.
That is in direct relation, once again, to the fact that we are waiting for state and federal grant approval. If you remember last year, with all things being as they were with COVID, it took an extra long time for approval into like the 6-7 month mark. Hoping that it's not gonna take that long again this year, because the standard quote unquote normal timeframe is about October. So hopefully we'll get some more approvals and then we'll see some of that move to the special aid fund and we won't see those negatives anymore. The other piece I wanted to mention and something that you guys are approving tonight is a modification to our contract with Star and Strand. Back in 2019-20 was the first year of this contract with them. Unfortunately, directly related to our lack of bus drivers, we had to contract out routes. And we are once again doing that. The routes this year are more extensive than we have had in the past. Again, directly related to the shortage of bus drivers. We had a bus driver retire, we had one resign, go to a neighboring school district, we had one resign to work for the state. So we are in even dire straits compared to prior years. So the contract will be more significant this year, and the funds that were budgeted will not be enough. We're looking at a contract of about $215,000 for 3 bus runs for this fiscal year. So I wanted to make sure that you were aware, and I wanted to relate the information in the budget status report to the modification that you guys are approving on that contract. Any questions on that?
No, thank you. Okay.
So just for a moment, thanks to Megan for the Herculean effort of turning that around in about 2.5 days in a way that still qualifies us for the aid. Not a simple task.
Thank you.
Not having to call the National Guard.
I told Jeff, I'll get my
Although
CDL
I
with
can tap
that.
into it quickly, but no.
See me driving, he's going to school. Thanks, Megan. Do you have anything else for us?
Although I have been trying to canvass the neighborhood looking for some bus drivers. I will say
Grab a
that
couple
much.
on your way.
Amy said she was interested.
Anyway, so Terry's not with us this evening. So Dave, I think you are next.
Good evening. Just real quick, our Chromebook handout process. We have 605 students in grades 5 through 12 who were slated to get one-to-one Chromebooks. 521 of them have signed up, whether it be on paper or on myschoolbucks.com. We've got about 84 to go. Those 521 have their Chromebooks, or they will have them tomorrow morning. Our numbers went from like 100 a day for a while to 17 today. So we've still got a few to go, but it has definitely slowed down. 247 of them did it online and took the insurance. 113 did it online and declined the insurance. 27 declined on paper, and 73 of them paid cash and signed up on paper. So we had a good response to My School Bucks. We did have some errors, or not errors, but some problems. It's a little bit of a process. You have to sign up, which most people will be signed up next year, so it'll be even easier. But you have to sign up, grab your kid and attach them to your account, and then do the Chromebook insurance. So it's a little bit of a process, but to have had 360 people actually get through it, no problem, is pretty encouraging. As for data privacy, we talked quite a bit about the strides we were making in allowing innovation easily in the classrooms. We backed off it just a little bit because we found an app that was asking for birthday, which is a no-no. They can't ask for our kids' birthdays. That is personally identifiable information. And so we backed up just a little bit. So the teachers are just saying, hey, I got a new app. Can I get it approved? And I go in, log in as a kid, try to attach to it. Okay, looks good, and done. And I've done that about 8 times in the last week, and it went, it was within a couple hours. The teacher had it ready to go. So we did back up a little bit, but we are moving forward and being, trying to be very innovative with our new apps and using those tools.
So Dave, if you don't take the insurance, something happens to the laptop, it's based on how much it costs to fix it. So if it's the power cord, it's whatever. If it's the screen.
Yeah, exactly. The insurance is kind of like your car insurance. It's a deductible. If you don't take the insurance, but you want to take it later, I want to see your device before, I say you now have insurance. It's, if you don't take the insurance, you're fully liable. And that's that checkbox on the website or that signature on the paper says I'm taking responsibility. That's what it's there for. We lost, $12,000 in Chromebooks and Chromebook damages last year. That just, we're still fighting to get some of that back. So it's a big deal. And we've already had 4 cracked screens in a week.
Dave, what's the cost of a cracked screen?
$169.
And what's the cost of the insurance?
$15.
All right.
Well, you'll still pay part of the
What's the deductible?
$100. So you're still saving yourself some money.
Oh, yeah.
And it helps to pay for, it's a community kind of crowdsourcing thing there, where if you break it, everybody else's insurance helps to pay for that, just like real insurance, just like, your car insurance. That's how they make their money, is only this many people wrecked, but everybody paid their premiums. So it's kind of the way we do it here. If everybody, chips in their $15, then us covering that extra $70, $69.99, or the other, damages and losses that we have, it helps. It helps. So week 1 and 2, it went pretty good. We did make some mistakes on getting the Chromebooks ready. I will tell you, the public out here and the public in here, email is way better for us. We are super busy right now, and I will stay and work through the emails every night. Sometimes you don't get through on the phone because we're not in the office, or, we're already on a call, or we've got, 5 kids standing in front of us. So email to helpdesk@rcsd.k12.ny.us is always going to be, more efficient for us. So if you can't get through to us and it's just an emergency, call one of the offices and they'll get a hold of us. But it has been difficult to get through to us on the phone. We recognize and acknowledge that. But emails, I'm taking care of them every night, all the way through until I'm done.
What's the email again?
Helpdesk at the rest is the same as everybody else in the building. So, and that's also on our welcome back page. Our new instructional technology coach, Jason Adams, started today. He was already out in classrooms showing teachers cool stuff. And I will say that I have seen adults in the hallways using the math and movement stickers on the floor and doing hopscotch and things like that. Been really good.
You weren't supposed to tell anybody.
Well, I was one of them, but, and that's all I have.
Looks great.
It
I
does.
can tell you, my kids came into orientation and school drop off, and they were using those math and movement items before school even started.
Kudos to Sarah Hurley.
Yeah, she spent a lot of
We
time.
need to give a little credit to Sarah
Just
Hurley for
got a lot.
the hours and hours
Oh,
and
nice.
hours she spent putting those down.
I can't even imagine like on the steps, like how long
Right.
All right, thank you, Dave. Jeff, we're going to you.
Yeah, just a few quick things. I know at the last board meeting, I talked a little bit about the summer program and how great that went, and we kind of kept that momentum going as we did the rest of the summer. A lot of normalcy. We had a new student orientation that was really well attended. We spaced out, but it was nice to welcome new families and let them learn about the school and take a tour and, see different parts of the building. Obviously, weren't able to do that last year, and likewise with pre-K. Nice to be able to have a pre-K orientation and let parents see the classroom and kids ride the school bus and kind of take a tour of the building. Just weren't able to do that last year. So again, a lot of normalcy. Even school supply drop off. It was great hearing the kids and parents in the hallways and being able to drop it off before the start of school. And I think the start of the school year has been seamless. The kids have come back. I met with my team leaders today. They said, you might think kids that maybe haven't been in as much the last year and a half, that there might be a little bit difficulty with transitioning, but it's been really very smooth. Trying to work a little bit on, morning drop off and afternoon pickup and kind of tighten things up there. But in general, thinking of the kids, I think it's been a great opening to the school year. So we just had our first in-person PTA meeting in a year and a half. So it was nice to be able to have that. So feels like we're turning the corner, cautiously optimistic. Looking at the rest of the month, we'll have a virtual open house. We want to be safe. So I'll send out information about that. It's going to be September 30th. It'll be a familiar format to what it was a couple of years ago. Teachers will make their 3 presentations. It'll just be virtual. So I will make sure that everyone has the necessary information for that. And then something we're very, very excited about this year is to be able to offer some after-school programs and activities and things like that. So I'm hopeful that early August or early October to mid-October, we'll be able to feature those, and I will be sending out information, I'm thinking early next week, about that. So very, very excited to be able to offer those things for our kids. So, as Joe mentioned at the PTA meeting, I think there's a lot of reason to be optimistic this year. We're off to a good start.
So attendance has been good, you would say?
To my knowledge, attendance has been pretty good to this point. You know, obviously, there's always some hiccups the first week or two. We have kids that may have moved and we're not aware of, and we're trying to kind of track some of that down, but.
I can tell you, just to piggyback, I was talking with Mr. Faust, our attendance officer, and both attendances have been very, very good, but elementary especially is extremely, extremely good. I want to say, one of the days it was like 9 kids out of the whole elementary. Might
No,
not-
being able to come back in person is the key.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you, Jeff.
The automated attendance call started working correctly as of today too. The kid's not here,
Anything else,
you'll get a
Jeff, for
call.
us,
no, that's all I had, unless you guys have questions.
or- All right, Dom.
Sounds good. So, give you a little update on welcome back for us. So it really was welcome back for us. We did have elementary in the building full-time at the end of last year. We were not, we were only part-time. So it's been nice, for the kids and for the teachers and everybody to get everybody back in the building, this year. Have everybody in classroom, have everybody in front of the teacher working on stuff has been, extremely helpful. I want to thank, the staff, so the teachers, support staff and everybody for being flexible, allowing us to make some changes, to move throughout the day so that, we can make things work in the best interest of kids. We had a couple trainings at the beginning of the year. We had John Rice in, talked with our teachers about being the eye in the storm, gave us a good look at what some of our kids may be going through coming back from this, gave us a couple good ideas and some strategies how to help in the classroom and how to change things in the classroom, one classroom at a time to kind of, help with the community. Want to also thank our positive action trainers. We're using positive actions in grades 7 through 9. Staff was trained, PPS and our administration and stuff, and they trained all the new teachers in that during that part, and we'll be implementing that in special areas. So I really want to recognize the teachers that are going to be, working with that and kind of going above and beyond. I do want to piggyback what Dave said. For parents that do not have a Chromebook, we need everybody with a Chromebook. So we do have a paper sign up now that we have available in the office. If you're having trouble online, we can get you that paper copy to get it in. But the sooner we have that, the better off we'll be for the long run. Our open house will also be virtual this year. For the junior, senior high school, it's going to be October 7th, October 7th, which is first Thursday in October. So I'll be sending information out about that, but we'll be doing a virtual open house for that. And then I know Billy will be going up pretty soon. I don't want to steal much of his thunder, but had football back at our first football game in a while. Awesome atmosphere. It was nice to see everybody out there. It was a little different because it was on a Monday, but it was nice to have it back. Yes.
Just to interrupt you, Dom, and
Yeah.
I should know this from talking to my brother, but was it pushed off to Monday because we had the one contact where we had the quarantine? That's what I just wanted to make sure that, I had to miss it, I had to practice.
Yeah.
Thanks, I was just wondering.
And that's all I got, you guys.
Can I ask you a question?
Definitely can.
Okay, so the Google Meet for DOH verified quarantines?
Yep.
Could
So.
yeah, just talk about that a little bit?
Yes, so what we have is, if we have a student who's on a DOH verified quarantine, we're opening up a Google Meet to the classroom so that the student will have access to everything that everybody else has access to, so they'll be able to look into the classroom. We are only offering that for, and actually, I'm just looking, I skipped that on my thing, didn't I? I apologize. So they will, it is only offered for students that have verified DOH quarantine. So the teachers are aware, they'll open up that Meet for them, it allows them to, view in, not miss what's going on.
Yeah.
And kind of keep up to date.
That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You got it?
Amy?
Before we go on, Amy, I just wanted to kind of say.
Yes, no, definitely.
I know in the past, like last year, this is kind of a question for you, Joe, if a kid was sick, like maybe you have a fever and your parents like, well, I can't send you to school because you have a fever. Are you just absent that day, or is that Google Meet option available for teachers to, if you notify your teacher?
So we have a spreadsheet of students that are eligible for it. And we're not gonna allow, because of the abuse that happened last year with some of the remote students, there is a certain subset of families or parents that would call in and just say, my kid's sick, my kid's sick, my kid's sick. And they will only come in remote. So in an effort to mitigate that and make sure there's a desire to come in,
Gotcha.
we have not allowed that. It's only gonna be on the DOH, on our list. I wanna say it's gonna be on our list. We very specifically have said there's a list. If you're positive, if you're a contact, or if there are extenuating circumstances that we agree for some reason we're gonna allow a student to be on that list, that's how you could be on the list. If it's just, I called in sick today, that's not gonna fly. If we knew there was an extenuating medical condition that a student couldn't come in for a week and there was a surgery or something happened, we would make an exception for something like that, but not I'm sick today. Does that make sense?
Yes, so if we have say we have a student with a fever, are we requiring them to go get a test?
If they have 2 symptoms, they're required to go get a test. Now, the way that the DOH, the way that the programmatic protocol goes, if they have 2 symptoms, the health office will send them to get a referral. They have to come back with either a doctor's note that says that it's not COVID or a negative test, and most doctors know. Most doctors aren't gonna write a note that says it's not COVID unless there is a negative test with it.
So does that original referral come from the school nurse? Like say like this happens overnight and you're like, you're staying home, you have a fever, you have symptomatic, I'm gonna, as a parent, go get you tested.
Yeah,
Referrals
I
that
can
came
answer
from the
that.
school-
So
School nurse.
Mr. Faust, our attendance officer, when he gets a call in for sick, he's transferring that call directly to the school nurse. She's taking them through the checklist, and then she's letting them know what they have to follow.
Okay, so then there would be a circle back that if needed, you could get on the list to then join remotely if in fact you qualify.
Right, so then so the quarantine might be, you went and got a test and you're waiting for the results,
Yeah,
that might qualify.
right.
But if that happens with an elementary student that doesn't already have a laptop,
Right.
for a day isn't gonna really work. For a high school student that has a laptop, we could allow it for a day.
So if the student has 2 symptoms, does that then go into like this realm of you have to be tested before we let you back in school?
Or,
how does that
or
work?
a doctor's note saying an alternate diagnosis.
Okay.
So it has to be seen by a doctor. They go and they say it's, I'm not gonna test, it's not COVID, it's this. Then they come back in.
Okay.
Can I speak to that? That happened to us last year, and the nurse was very knowledgeable and good about it. And she explained that exact point to my wife, who explained that to the doctor, and the doctor said, yes, I'm comfortable with this being that and not COVID. And my kid was only out for 1 day.
So I want to piggyback off of that because last year we had a symptom and basically we ended up in COVID test no man's land and we were waiting 2 weeks for a test, but because we were remote and people were like, well, we never got you your results, you could end up with kids out for an indefinite period of time that don't have access to instruction, especially if they're younger. So I just wanted to know in that situation, is that, are we, if we don't have a plan in place now, are we planning for that, say when cold and flu season hits?
Right, well, I would say we don't have a specific plan for that. Part of what I would be concerned with that is, let me play back to the abuse piece. We say your child has a fever, you need a doctor's referral to come back in, or two symptoms it is at this point. And then the parents don't take the child to the doctor, they just stay at home indefinitely and say, my kid should be getting remote until I get that referral. These are the things that we're afraid that we're gonna get caught up in. I think it's gonna be handled on an individual basis though. You know what I'm saying?
I think to
I don't
Lark's
wanna
point
blanket
too,
just
like,
say-
if they had, can they come in with proof or, say, hey, we have proof, we got the COVID test, so for instance,
Yep.
it could take 3 days, 4 days for that to come back. If they have proof that they're waiting for COVID results, can they get on a Zoom meeting while they're waiting for their results? I mean, that to me.
Yeah, like we
That would
went,
make sense
we went
because
day
you're not-
one, got a COVID test, but it didn't get back to us
Right.
until 14 days later
if you-
because it was the system was so inundated with people getting
If
tested.
you've taken the test, that's a DOH, you're not allowed to come in for that. That would pretty easily be measurable and qualified.
Okay,
Now,
yeah.
do we
I
have
don't
the
think
infrastructure-
anybody's taken 2 weeks now, though. I think the systems have
yeah.
ironed themselves out that I don't think
I
anyone's
still
taken 2
can
weeks,
take
but that would
the
be a
test,
good example of, you can't kind of cheat that. Like, I got the test,
Mhm.
I'm waiting for results.
Yeah, that would be
Joe, do we have the
verifiable.
infrastructure with Dave?
Yeah, I was actually gonna say something about that. The list is shared with me. So I know who's eligible for remote, and I will immediately put whether they have a device already, or we'll get a device ready and say, hey, it's in the IT office, or, it's down in the elementary. And we've got a couple volunteers who volunteered to, cover up and go deliver Chromebooks. There's a couple, I think, that are, or maybe delivered already, and there's a couple waiting in the office for somebody to pick them up tomorrow
Hopefully
morning,
we
but
don't have to
we're on the
deliver
list.
60 of them.
We have a pool of devices for that, so yeah, we're,
Awesome. Just wanted-
So, I'm sorry, but I think the key takeaway here is really making sure that every parent who has a situation gets in contact with the attendance office and the school nurse and doesn't assume anything, right? So,
That's what we try to direct them
Yeah.
through. Like, if symptoms come up, you end up talking to the nurse one way or another
so
to get
don't,
this
don't,
correct.
don't sit at home assuming, contact the school and find out what the guidance is and what to do. And I think for me as a parent, that would be the key takeaway.
And that would
And
be
then-
great to put on the one pager, just like, and highlight, key thing here is definitely contact us, and make sure you're talking to the nurse, so you can get that ball rolling, so the child can get access to a Google Meet if everything qualifies for it. So if we let them know that, then no one's left in limbo. The idea is to keep the kids engaged.
All right, Amy, we're turning it over to you.
Sure. Well, I'm gonna circle back to the beginning of the school year, and folks have already talked about what a great start it was. I would echo the same thing. I think, certainly we were really prepared for having students that may have a hard time transitioning back, but I think for the most part, it was fantastic, and kids did really well. Staff were really, supportive and out there, in hallways, like, I know that was a big emphasis from the administrators this year, making sure staff are visible and out there helping kids to get kind of oriented. So I think it was fabulous. Just to give you a little kind of loop back to our alternative ed programs that I presented last time I was here. I was in all of those rooms at the start of the school year, and it was really encouraging to see. We have one student that I was working with pretty consistently through all of last year to get engaged in school, who has been coming every single day. And a student who told me adamantly he was not coming into this school building. And I really think it's thanks to having the support of that program. So I just really want to highlight that was a success, and that's what it was built for, is that.
Definitely, just to piggyback, not to interrupt you, but yeah, this is a student who was only planning on coming in for half a day to start, and the first day, he's like, I'll stay for the whole day he's been here since, so yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and that also speaks to a lot of teamwork among a lot of different players, both within that program and outside, so there are some really nice things to highlight there. In preparation for the start of the school year, I think every school district was really focused on looking at how we meet those social emotional needs of students. And I just wanted to highlight, we had a whole slew of training and professional development that we offered that last week before the aides left for the end of the school year in June. We had trainings every day for about 2 hours, de-escalation, family systems and trends, drug and alcohol abuse. We gave them an overview of the prevention programming that we're rolling out this year so that they could really be able to be supporting it. So the PPS office was really busy cranking that out during that week. And we had our training from Rensselaer County Mental Health, Davia Plus. She did another round of youth mental health first aid training. Pretty much all of our staff that want to be trained has been trained at this point. That's, I think, monumental. I don't know who has that level of training in their staff at this point. I ran a training for our pupil services staff, the psychologists, social workers, counselors on the development of functional behavioral assessments, development of behavior intervention plans. So really getting us tuned in and on the same page about how we're really addressing those high needs behavior students to drill down and figure out what it is that the real needs are and how to address it. So we ran a training on that in the summer. I also ran a training, I don't know if you saw the picture there, really excited to partner with Troy, my old stomping ground. We collaborated to do the therapeutic crisis intervention training, which is a very intensive 4-day training. It's a research-based model on how to respond to students in crisis, to de-escalate, to avoid things escalating, but also how to safely manage a student who may not physically be in control of themselves. So we had a total of 20 staff that were trained and certified in that program. So that was really exciting, and to be able to collaborate and share the resources with another district was great. And then we did, as Don said, a lot of great training just even in our opening days here that helped us focus in on those needs. So, I don't know a lot of districts that quite got in that much, and I think that was a really nice thing that we were able to offer. I've heard staff saying already, hey, I've been using some of that stuff. Hey, that really that helped me deal with some of our challenging students. So I was glad to see that. Our special ed department is up and running. We've got, really have a lot of good programming in place. We didn't move staff around too much, so I think people were starting to really feel like they could get traction on some of the things that we put in motion last year. A lot of communicating around our students with disabilities needs, starting off the school year right. And our focus for the year in our PPS office is really looking at the literacy council, working on building diversity and inclusion, transition supports, parent engagement. We'd like to do a monthly e-newsletter to kind of highlight some of the parent opportunities for training or support, as well as keeping you guys in the loop about what we're focusing on every month in the PPS office. What are kids learning about? What kind of activities are they engaged in? So those are all things I hope that you'll be looking out for in the next couple months. We're hoping to get one out by the end of September, and that just have that kind of be a standing way of communicating with you guys about what's going on. And certainly, as always, open to your feedback and thoughts. Please don't hesitate to reach out if there's areas that we can kind of build on. That's it. Bill?
Right. Yeah, as Don was saying, fall sports have gotten off to a really good start. Numbers are pretty good across the board for our teams. I was joking that, we had a great turnout for our football game. Obviously, the result wasn't what we're hoping for in the future, but it was great to see the kids out there. They're learning baby steps, but I think we're maybe the only team that loses by 6 touchdowns and gains 3 more players the next day. People are begging to come out and play. I'm like, it's unbelievable. Not just football, modified football is game players, modified soccer. Kids are just excited to have something to do. So everybody's really working hard, and the coaches are doing a great job with them. Weekly testing began, obviously, for the high-risk sports. Initially, we did have a couple positives. The good thing about that was they were isolated incidents that probably came from outside of school. Nobody else on any of those teams had any signs or symptoms. Went through the quarantines, and a decent amount of the athletes actually on our football team were vaccinated, so they were able to continue with some of their activities in that case. So we kind of been lucky in that case. That is why the game got pushed back a few days. Taconico was nice enough to work with us. A lot of districts will be doing that if they need to, try to help each other out. Turnout was great the other night. Everything was very positive about that. And it's not just football. I was in the gym last night, and we have to sign people in indoors, and we were like, yeah, I printed out a few sheets. Okay, we'll sign people in. We usually get, 20, 30 people? We signed in, I think, around 90 people last night to a volleyball game. It was unbelievable. It was unbelievable. And everybody was really good about masks on. I reminded a few of the kids, but to be honest with you, they were just happy to be out doing something, supporting the kids. It was amazing. It was a really nice atmosphere to have. On the testing front, thank you to Joe. Jalen, Tammy Slingerland, they're in here, you know, before 7 every Monday or Tuesday morning, given whatever the day is, and they're really, really working hard. Jalen's staying later than she wants to, I know, on some of these days to try to get everything in, reports done, and asking for what athletes are joining and they're just doing a great job and so helpful to make it work for these kids. It's unbelievable. Yeah, are some different protocols in place here, obviously, for indoor events and outdoor events, and it's interesting to see my meetings, how they are different at some districts. So what we're doing is, within our leagues, we're kind of putting together a document and updating that from time to time. So if we go someplace where their protocols are different than ours, we can relay that, and we're trying to work on, by the end of this week, getting it out so everyone can see. I'm relaying that to the coaches right now, but some of the other athletic directors are a little bit slow. We're trying to get it into this document so we can share it out to everyone. You'd be able to go on and say, hey, we're going to Hudson tonight for a volleyball game. Okay, here's how it works there. We're all allowed to go. We need a mask. You know, I think Waterville Eaton only can right now. They're not even allowed spectators, but you would know that ahead of time. And you would not be surprised when you get somewhere or, you know who can go, and what the protocols are at that district. Yep, that's here, our protocol, we wear the mask when we come in, try to sit as social distance as we can, and just sign in, just in case there's a need to do any sort of tracing. And everybody's really good about that, so I don't see any need to do anything different with that. It was great. Everybody was cooperating very well with that last night. Trying to close out all the stuff from last year. We really were able to get through it. I want to thank all those people again that did help us get through. And when you see all our teams this fall, they're going to be looking great, because a lot of that money was left that we weren't sure if we would need seed money for this year. A lot of new uniforms were ordered, so the kids are looking great and they're loving it. They're feeling good when they're out there. So the donations are actually walking around. You'll see them. They're doing, it's really nice that the kids were able to do that. We thank everybody that helped out with that. I've got a lot of calls lately from parents about scheduling and schedules. There are schedules on our Google Calendar, and we also have a scheduling app, Schedule Galaxy. It's a website, plus it's an app you can get on your phone. It'll update it. I think last year we were at a meeting and Dana was saying she loved it because we had changed a softball game like that day. I said, oh, I just changed it. She goes, I know, it just buzzed in my pocket. I would come out of my office and she just got the update. So it's really in real time. I'm going on doing the Google Calendar, but that app is great because at the minute I do it, my phone's buzzed in my pocket. It went through. I know it went through. So
If you don't have the app and you have room on your
It's
phone,
amazing.
you're silly to
It's
not
great.
download that
So
app.
easy.
It's amazing.
And if you're looking for like a full, year schedule, the app is where you want to go.
And you get to customize it based on your child and what
That's right.
sports you want to
Sports
see.
you do, you can see
You
them all
literally
in the
say, I
phone.
want to see softball, soccer, whatever sport, and that's what you see. And the minute Billy changes the game, you know where and when it is. You get directions to the field. I can't say enough, and it's free for the parent.
Right.
It's amazing. It's a great app. What is that app?
Schedule Galaxy, and there's a link to it on the website. But on the phone, if you have it,
I love that.
it's Schedule Galaxy.
And everybody in the league uses it, so
Yes.
if someone else changes something.
I was watching my nieces and nephews' games out in Johnstown, like I could see when their schedule was. It's amazing.
That's mostly it. We do have some more home games first coming up. Modified football has their first home game tomorrow, and volleyball is home again too. Yes.
Football is varsity is.
Football is at Hudson on Friday.
That's gonna be a tough one.
We know a few people down there, and we've already kind of given them, we're growing our program, so they're gonna be as nice as you possibly can, I do believe. But you know what, they need to learn across the board. We're doing well. The effort was awesome the other night, and like I said, we've gained players since then, and today was great practice.
I'm proud you're coming out, Bill, and doing it. That's great. No
Yeah.
experience.
Nice.
Thank you.
Is it just Rensselaer kids on the team?
So this is, we did have the merger with Loudonville. We did have a couple of their varsity age athletes come to the little mini camp we did in June. They decided to stick with soccer, which is what they're doing. We do have a couple that are playing modified, and from everything I've heard, There's several other modified age players that will probably come out next year, so it's something we'll look into as to whether it makes sense to keep the varsity, merger for next year, but I definitely think it makes sense to keep the modified, because even if we get a future, we'll grow it. And then when they get to that varsity age, we can turn it over. If we think we'll get some from varsity, absolutely, we'd bring a couple on to make it work for sure, but we'll look into that at the end of the season, but right now, there's only 2 unmodified.
That's a start.
So I just have a couple things. I know you guys have heard about masks, and I haven't heard a lot about masks since school started. Just watching it in the news. What I've heard about is transportation. So I've had people call and say it's very difficult to get a hold of the transportation department. And I think that we're working toward fixing that. Understand that's because we have a lack of drivers, and our transportation person that would answer the phone is driving a bus. Dave is working hard to we're gonna try to get one of our internal phones, our internal IP phones, these complex ones we have here, over there so that we can do a very easy forward. So if it's out of the office, we could have someone here be a live voice for someone to answer when they call the transportation department, because we're short-staffed. So we're working on that. We straightened out some of the timing issues. I think it really just boils down to we're short-staffed, so we're gonna do the best we can. I know I've seen a lot of growth in the last week and a half as to where we're going, and we're working on it. And then the other thing I just wanted to say was a big kudos to the school lunch, the food service crew, because they are marching forward with about, just over half their staff and getting the job done. So big pat on the back to them. They rearranged what they're serving, how they're getting it done, where they're placing people, and they're just making it happen by brute force.
Back on the transportation, I will absolutely sign what you just said. I did see Mr. Thomas driving the bus the other morning. He waved at me. All hands on deck, apparently.
So that's where we're at right now, and that's not where we want to be, but it's getting us by. And the thought, just to know, she said it was $215,000 worth of contract to contract out what we have. If we want to make sure we free him up, then we have to contract out another run. We don't want to do that right now. What we want to do is use the resources we have, maybe forward the phone, still get a live voice when you call. We're working on it.
Joe, if we have people out there who are interested in becoming school bus drivers and getting their CDL license, is that something that the school is helping people do? Or is it on them to get their own CDL and training?
We will guide them and train them.
How many do you
We are
need?
there. How many do we need? I think we've hired 3 today.
Absolutely.
And really,
Actually, 4.
really
so that we
4.
could- Yeah, so we could
And hire
check up
4.
more often.
because then we could not contract out the 3, and Chuck wouldn't be out there running all the time. So we could hire 4 right now.
So whoever is out there
So
listening that
what
wants
are
to
the
be a school bus
qualifications?
driver should contact,
Yeah, what would be the
Who?
basic qualifications for that?
send Joe Cardash an email if you want to be a school bus driver.
Please do. We will route you to the right place.
The basic qualifications is the CDL, and then once you reach out to us, there are additional qualifications for actually driving a school bus, but we can help navigate also.
So if you have CDL,
Yes,
call Joe.
yes,
Please.
yes.
Even if you don't,
Or a
I
good
mean,
phone voice.
Right, it
I
takes
have
a
a
while to get one, I know where the CDL
recently
is, but
retired family member who
Right.
just went out and got her CDL.
It's
and
perfect
then
for a retired
she
person.
drives through Greenbush now, but they trained her.
Yep.
So after her training, and then her first couple of runs was with somebody, but I mean, it wasn't extremely hard to become a school bus driver. So I think it is an achievable goal if somebody wants to drive a school bus, right? And we're willing to help them, so.
Yeah, if you come with a CDL, we will do the same. We will walk through all of the training and stuff. I think Chuck actually did that last year.
We did that internally.
you want to drive?
Just
Yep,
piggyback.
volunteer.
No, but I just wanna piggyback off what you said, with Chuck and even, Amy and you, like, right up before school started, like, my kid's bus run was constantly changing because there wasn't the realization that it was needed for the higher grades now, which my son transitioned to. And you and Chuck were emailing me even on the weekends to say, hey, this is the latest time that we have, this is the update, and Chuck was actually driving my kids, the end of last week and this week.
To find them
So-
on any given run on any given day.
So it's just appreciate the amount of communication that was gone out to make sure parents had what they needed for the first day.
We are trying, and some fell through the cracks, like, we could have done better. Thank you for the compliment. We're working to make sure we do it better next year, because some still fell through the cracks because of the amount of just sheer change we had to do with shortage of drivers.
I don't think driving school bus is an easy task, so I think they are special people and I thank them for what they do.
I don't have anything else. I just want to make sure I said thank you. Thank you to the whole staff for being flexible this year. We have a big positive attitude. We're gonna have a great year. That's what I have.
If nobody has questions about the remainder of the agenda, I'd like to move items 3 through 9 for a motion for approval.
Motion approved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion to close the meeting, it is 7:32. I think we got Laura, yeah, Laura.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Thank you, everybody, for coming tonight.
We're out.
I know.